I've got a lot of news this week in multiple areas, so I'm going to be all over the map. There's news about Eco, news about the DadSpeed Eco server and some changes coming. There's been a reboot of the DadSpeed Space Engineers server with some fresh piracy. I've been checking out the new Space Engineers AI grid very closely and preparing for some mischief. This week is basically a drawer full of mismatched socks and a bit of exclusive leaked information you're going to get to hear first on this channel. Just a bit of everything. So let's get to it. So I'm going to be showing B-roll footage of the DadSpeed Space Engineers server in the background and giving some updates on that as I go through these bits of news. I am a member of the pirate faction on this server, so back on our original pirate spawn base, I gathered some more resources and printed off a copy of my Ultimate Miner with the oscillating ship printer I showed a long time back. This ship is all hydrogen powered and can serve as a small home away from home, so it's perfect for me to take it down to the planet's surface in search of some of the neutral or civilian players. I say neutral, actually everyone is an enemy of the pirate faction on this server, so I'm going to see if I can stir the pot a little. While I'm on my way, I'll talk about some Eco news. The Eco devs have been continuing with their live streams, and it's a great way to get little tidbits of information about the game's progress and plans. They also occasionally look at some of the player worlds during these live streams to showcase their builds, take a look at their laws and economics, and a general demonstration of what's possible in the open world sandbox of Eco. It looks like DadSpeed is going to be the recipient of one of those visits very soon. They dropped in briefly a few weeks ago, but I believe a longer tour and spotlight is coming, at least according to the admins of DadSpeed, and that looks like it'll happen in the next week or so. I'll provide some more links or video coverage on that later. Speaking of DadSpeed and Eco, some things are changing. A new Eco instance will be spinning up very soon. Today, as a matter of fact. But it won't be DadSpeed, at least not as you know it. The long-term, slow progression gameplay of DadSpeed you know and love isn't going anywhere. But instead, a new type of server is being added by the admins. It's MomSpeed. This new Eco instance will be the polar opposite of DadSpeed. In discussions with the admins about this highly secretive project, I'm leaking information. Yes, if you're watching this video, you're getting the first insider scoop on this information. So you'll be best prepared for this new MomSpeed world and playthrough. So what is this? What is known is that it's going to be a tiny world, much like a tiny house. Everyone will be living right on top of each other, so resources as well as space will be at a premium. So with this limited real estate situation, teaming is allowed. People can share land and resources, whatever they like, no rules. At least not pre-established server ones, which leads to another change. MomSpeed will have no pre-organized government. The players can make one if they like, have a global currency or stick with barter, taxes or no taxes, laws or no laws, whatever they want. It's mayhem or order, completely created by the players. The reason for this is that money or wealth to acquire things is not the goal. This MomSpeed instance will have a meteor, and destroying it is the goal, by whatever means necessary. So money is probably more of a means to the end. I believe it'll be a 30-day playthrough, maybe 45, but the latest info was 30 days. So there will be limited time to achieve the goal. But this isn't your granddaddy's default Eco server. No. The same kind of slow progression like you've seen on DadSpeed will be on MomSpeed as well, in addition to a radical recipe change. The mod team has been hard at work changing the laser recipe to use crazy quantities of resources and will require resources from all the specialties and skills across the game. So everyone will need to be busy right up to the end. For instance, we may need 50,000 of every crop, and 5,000 compost, and 8,000 pairs of pants for a laser, and a whole pile of elk tacos, all kinds of material like that. I don't know the exact quantities. That information is being held tightly at the moment, but it will be a crazy high quantity of everything. To add to the challenge and eliminate any need to monitor the super skill combinations, each player will only be allowed to take one skill. That's right, just one. You pick your profession and work like mad to make your contribution to the goal. So some server rules are being handled more loosely or alleviated, while others are added to the difficulty and challenge of this playthrough. Now, I've played on tiny worlds, and they definitely have their own silly mayhem going on. People should be able to find all kinds of new opportunities that are there on the original DadSpeed, but on a large and long-term server may not get an opportunity to materialize the same way. For instance, I can see people really getting into creating the apartment-style housing and focusing on that for their building project, while others focus on their mining or farming. People might set contracts for granting mining rights underneath their shops. There may be folks that hold off taking one of the early skills, seeing as how you only get one, and focus early on creating the road infrastructure, or just transporting goods from one place to another for other players, pulling carts through the woods and blazing trails. Who knows? It'll be fun to see what folks come up with. And because of this one skill limitation and the need for all resources to the end, folks joining a couple weeks in will have lots of choices and niches that need to be filled. I'm sure folks will be just begging them to take one skill or another. That's what I'd bet on. So that's coming. Brace for impact. And it seems after a bit of scouting on the Space Engineer's Earth-like planet, I've found a couple of bases. One nice thing about this ship is that it can just hop from one ice lake to another and keep myself plenty fueled. I do like the atmospheric thrusters on planets like this, but the hydrogen just feels very sustainable. And I have been able to log out in this ship's cryo chamber and sleep on this ever-running server. But I am a pirate, so I need to do piratey things, and I need a place to settle in while I plan for some harassment and further exploration. Fortunately for me, this skeletal base that looked owned by player Joramani will do nicely. So what once was briefly yours, my friend, is now mine. I am also in immediate need of some metal grids to make some atmospheric thrusters in other parts, so your ship, Joramani, is also going to do nicely. It's purely an honorable activity. Even though there is a no unnecessary destruction rule on the server, destroying what you need to get to resources or grinding something down for resources is fair game. So hey, I did what I have to. I'll be hunting for others and expect to probably be hunted myself as well. The DadSpeed Space Engineer server has gone through a couple weeks now of daily testing and seems to be about as stable as you can expect from a Space Engineer server. It's also the same game save from a few months ago. So if you want to come back and pick up where you left off, dabble and build, enjoy an occasional skirmish, the server is back open and running. So all are welcome, new and experienced players alike. There's lots of friendly, knowledgeable people here to help you out. This DadSpeed Space Engineers server play is going to be its own mini-series to help separate it from my standalone gameplay. So you can consider this episode 0. Till next time, take care, and I'll be talking to you later.